Welcome back to New Earth News and New Age Networking. Hi, Christy.
Hello, Melisa.
And today we have a very special guest to share with you all. Today, our guest on the podcast is Daniel Jackson of Beyond the Veil. Daniel is a spirit medium who will be sharing with us all about the work that he does communicating with spirit. And I know Christy and I have so many questions. So welcome, Daniel, to the show. We are so excited to be talking with you today.
Thank you,
Yes,
ladies. I
welcome.
appreciate it. I'm glad to be here.
Beautiful. So let's go ahead and dive in. Daniel, why don't you begin by telling us a little bit about you, what's your story, and how did you get started in the work that you do?
All right. Well, you got 3 days. Okay. So anyway, yeah,
The
don't
Cliff
mind
Note
me. I got
version.
jokes. Yeah. When you see as many spirits as I do, you better have jokes. So, I grew up in a town in New Jersey. I now live in Arizona, but I lived in New Jersey until I was about 17. But we lived in a town that had a battlefield in it that was right across the river from Philadelphia. And this is where the Hessians fought. And they had a little hospital on there. So we as kids called it the monument because there was this big, tall stone monument there. But there were a lot of spirit there, and people within close proximity of that place had spirit going on. We would all talk amongst each other in the neighborhood to the point where one time my sister was getting ready for school in the morning. My mom was helping her in the bathroom. And when they stood in front of this door that had a full length mirror on it, there was another woman standing in it with a colonial outfit on.
Oh,
I
There
love
was a,
that.
well, there was another time when my brothers and I were watching TV down the stairs, and my sister's room was upstairs, and she had a record player. So back in the 70s, you had to flip the little switch and drop that record down. Well, when we were watching TV, the record player turned on, but that's not the crazy part. The crazy part was it was switching records.
oh,
So it would take a record off, put one on, and then turn it back on and play records.
oh,
It
wow.
just
Wow. And it
apparently
was
it
before they
it
did
led.
it automatically.
Oh yeah, no, it would take a record off, and
Yeah, that's
yeah,
really
yeah. Apparently
fascinating.
they liked Pink Floyd and Alice Cooper. So,
Can't blame them.
yeah. So it was that. I mean, it was ashtrays moving around the house, glasses moving around the house. I had a friend come over one time. He wanted to see for himself. We were kids, like probably 12, 13 years old. And we were just hanging out, nothing was happening, and we were in the kitchen eating some sandwiches, and then the stereo in the living room turned on, and then the volume just turned right up, and he ran out of the house. It was pretty funny. He would tell that story at school all the time, but I would laugh to myself because he turned whiter than any ghost I've ever seen. So yeah, but it just became a regular occurrence after a while, and we just as kids, we got used to it. I mean, I explain it this way. It's like when we were kids and then our mom and dad feed us green beans, and then 30 years later, you like green beans. Why? Because you get used to it. You just do.
Yeah.
But it was after when I was 17, my parents and I and my one brother moved to Delaware. My dad got a better job. But from that point, I was the only one who was continuing to see things, not just see them, hear them, feel them, smell them. Um, I used to play in a hair band back in the 80s. I still have hair. I just shave it all off. I have it. I ride motorcycles and I don't like to sweat and it's hot here in Arizona. So but
Yeah.
I used to have big hair and I wore zebra striped spandex. I thought that was cool, but not so much. But I came home from a gig one time and I laid down in bed, and when I did, something laid down next to me like 3 or 4 times. The bed actually depressed and the pillow squished down.
Oh, wow.
And then that fourth, fifth, I think it was the fifth time, I finally rolled over to see what was there doing this because it was freaking me out. When I did, whatever was there picked up the blanket that I had on top of me and it brought it up to the ceiling and shook it above me, and then it dropped in on top of me. And then for 2 years after that, I slept on the couch because I was scared shitless. So,
Yeah.
but it just kept going. It kept going. There was a time when my girlfriend and I were watching TV, and I went to another bedroom eventually, because I thought that was going to cure it. No. Um, so we were watching Rocky Horror Picture Show. She was at the end of the bed, and I was at the top of the bed watching. And then something, maybe about 4 feet long and about 2 feet thick, white, kind of milky looking, snaked its way out of my closet. and came across the room. And then when it got across the room, it just disappeared. And she literally looked at me and she said, "Did you see that?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's get the heck out of here." But yeah, it was just regular occurrences throughout my teens, into my 20s, 30s, 40s. It wasn't until right before I was turning 50 years old is when it came to a head. My wife now that's with me now, when we were living in Delaware. She went away on vacation to see her daughter for 2 weeks in California, and for 2 weeks, I saw everything you could ever imagine that was in a scary movie happening in my home.
Wow.
I saw green and red mist pouring out of the walls. I saw skulls floating around with red eyes and fangs, 7-foot skeletons walking around the house. When I would go to bed, I saw this thick cloud come out of the corner of the room. Each night it was a different color, red or green or blue or yellow, and then red with black stripes, green with black stripes, blue with black stripes. It was just, I saw a cloud form above the bed, and then it separated into a window of blackness. And then I saw these two skeleton arms come out, and then it pulled the body out, and then the head was looking around the room and looking at me. And the strange part about that is when the hands came or when the arms came out, they didn't have any hands. It was just strange. But I saw the famed Hat Man appear in my basement. My
Ah,
cat was down in the basement. I had my cat Shadow, a big 20-pound gray cat, and where does a
Oh,
20-pound cat sit? Wherever the hell he wants to. So he was down in the basement, and I go down to get him, and I said, "Hey, buddy, come on, it's time to go upstairs." And he looked at me. He looked to his right-hand side. I looked to my left, and I saw this wall of blackness appear in the middle of the floor. And then this man walked out. Now, I couldn't see his face full on, but I could see his features, his chin, his nose. But he had this big wide rim hat and this long coat on. And he started walking across the room in perfect stride. The strange part to me was when I looked at him, he didn't have any feet. But he was walking across the room. He went to the corner and disappeared. And then when I turned my head back, that wall of blackness just shut. That was it.
wow.
And then my cat looked at me like, "What the heck was that?" And I was like, "Oh, let's just go. Let's get out of here." So, so it was when my wife came home and she told me about her adventures, and then I told her about mine. And I had told her some of the things that I've seen throughout my life, but all this stuff, she thought because she was a nurse, she believed that maybe my medications was putting me into some type of diabetic psychosis because I'm diabetic. But it was 3 days after that she started experiencing some of the same things.
Oh,
So we started doing everything on the internet we could find to try to remedy this because it was just happening all the time now. I didn't even want to go to sleep in my own bedroom because I was seeing strange things. I'd look through the door and see things swirling around my bedroom. And so, uh, we did all the things like we put salt around the room, we'd put crosses around the room, and you know what that does? Makes your bedroom salty because that's all. It is yeah, it doesn't work. And crosses don't do anything to make evil things go away, because how is a form of punishment going to make something evil go away? It won't.
yeah.
So don't do
right. You
that.
love it, right?
Yeah. So then we sought out. I got a paranormal group to come to the house, and when the thing about it is when they pulled up in their little van, that had a little insignia on it. I mean, I really thought to myself, I don't want to be this kind of famous. I don't want to. I don't want my neighbors thinking they have poltergeist going on next to their
Right.
home. Unfortunately for them, they did. Um, but yeah, they did all kinds of tests. They put these little boxes around with lights on it and little wires sticking up. And I asked what they were, and he said, "Well, spirit produced static electricity." He ran his hand across my couch, and then he waved his hand above it, and the little boxes just lit up and made all this noise. And I was like, "Oh, that's pretty neat." And they had a girl taking digital photos. She took photos of me by myself, or me with someone else, or just someone else who was on the team. When they took a picture of anybody else, there was nothing. When they took pictures of me, there was 15 or 20 light orbs completely surrounding me. We
Wow.
walked into the bedroom one time because they wanted to do a test in there, where they wanted me to lay down and pretend I was sleeping. This was at nighttime, so they would come in with a spirit box thing. So they had all those little boxes set up, and when I walked through the doorway, every one of them lit up. When
Wow.
they walked through, nothing. So I go in the bedroom, I lay down, They come in, they turn that box on, and as soon as they turn it on, it started spitting out words. It said Wendy, Michael, Paul, Helen, unique, light, special, energy. One time it even said the word road, like a street. It said road, and when it did that, a car went past the house, and I was like,
Wow.
that was kind of strange. So I'm just laying there, and they start asking the questions. One of the questions they asked was, "Are you here to harm Daniel?" And then it immediately spoke, and it spoke in sentences. It said, "No, we are not here to harm Daniel. We love Daniel. We love Daniel's light. Daniel is the light." When it said Daniel is the light, I was like, what the heck is that supposed to mean? But the stranger part was they asked questions for 10 minutes and it answered for 10 minutes. They were having a conversation with whatever was there. They got done and left the room. And I went out. My wife's standing there and I said, "What's going on?" She said, "I don't know. They're talking about something." And I turned around and I was like, I was excited because other people were there witnessing what my wife and I were going through. And at that moment, I didn't feel as though I was crazy because I thought I was going crazy with all this stuff.
Yeah.
So I said, "You get all that? I mean, that was really cool, right?" And the guy was like, "Well, it was okay, Mr. Jackson, but there's an issue." And I was like, "What's the issue?" It didn't sound like it was bad or anything. He said, "Well, the issue is whenever we turn that box on, we can get it to spit out a couple words here and there, but it never says sentences. And it doesn't say sentences for 10 minutes."
Right.
He said, "It was
Conversation.
exactly 10 minutes. I timed it." And I was like, "Okay." And he said, "Well, we'll, we'll have to come back in about 2 weeks. We'll do a big reveal." Because they got all kinds of information. I mean, we walked into my closet because the guy said with the camera, he said, "I want to go in the closet." I said, "All right." So we walked in. I walk in, he comes in after me 5 seconds after me. He's like, "I gotta get out of here. I'm getting sick." And he runs out and he sits on the bed and I go out there and I say, "You're all right?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm okay. Can we go back in and try again?" We go back and try again. And he starts to get sick again. He runs out. And I said, "Are you sure you're okay?" And he's like, "Yeah." He goes, "I got really sick twice. How come you didn't?" "I don't know. You're a professional. You tell me." He just, so they said they'll leave and they'll come back 2 weeks later. They didn't come back.
Oh,
It took me 6 weeks to get a hold of him, and by the time I did get a hold of him, I asked him when they were gonna come back. He said, "We're not coming back." He said, "I can't even get the team together. Once we got on your front lawn after we left, they all quit. They're all afraid to
wow.
come back in their house." He said, "We don't get that kind of information from one house. It takes 10 or 15."
Oh my goodness. So,
So,
wow.
yeah, I was like, "Well, what do I do now?" He goes, "I don't know what to tell you to do." Really? So what I instead of finding another group to come, I thought, well, how about we'll get a hold of some mediums, see if I can find anybody who can help me with anything. And I ended up talking to 5 different mediums. None of them knew me, but every one of them told me the same story about me. None of them knew each other, and they told the same story about me. But one of them in particular, she wanted me to come to her show. She said, "I want you to come to my show because I want you to see how I do it." And I was like, "What's that supposed to mean?" But okay. So I bought some tickets to a show and I went, my wife and I, and we walked in the door and this lady standing on the stage. And as we walk through the door, she sees me and just goes and locks eyes with me and follows me through the room until I sit down. And then my wife and I look at each other and she's like, "That was really creepy. What was up with that?" I was like, "I don't know." She said, "Did you tell her you were coming?" I said, "No, I just bought tickets. So we'll see what happens." And she proceeded to tell everybody in the room how she does it, that spirit would bring her pictures of something, and she would describe it to the audience. And if it's in tune with somebody here, please stand up and say, then we'll further it from there. Second person she read was me.
Mm.
And she came through with some information about a gentleman who had passed away. His name was Robert, and he went by the name of Bob. He wore a business suit at work, but at home he would wear T-shirts and flannel shirts. And he fell down, and that's the way that he passed away. And then I stood up and I said, "That's my dad." I
Mm.
said, "My dad fell down because he was in the basement and he fell down and he hit his face on the steps and he died from blunt force trauma. It moved his brainstem." He wore T-shirts and flannel shirts and a business suit, and his name was Robert, but he went by Bob. And then she said, "He's also showing me a school bus what looks like prison bars and someone wearing scrubs. And I said, that's me. I said, I went back to school for medical records and now I work in prison. So it was just too much stuff to say this is not real. She even said, who is Sarah? And I said, Sarah, my niece. She said, no, Sarah, who had to make the big decision for your dad to pass away. I said, that's my mom. Her middle name is Sarah. She's the one who had to make the decision to have the plug pulled. So at the end of the show, we went down and I went to introduce myself and I said, hi, my name's Daniel Jackson. And she said, oh, I spoke to you on the phone a couple of days ago. I said, yeah, that's me. You told me to get tickets, so here I am. And then she looked at me like a teacher, like I'm 7 years old. She's like, stay here, don't go anywhere. Wait till everybody leaves, and then I want to have a talk with you. And I was like, oh crap, like what did I do now? So, but everybody left, and then she said, so I see you. I know you're seeing a lot of spirit, right? I said, lady, it's like being in a room with 1,000 people, except nobody leaves and more just keep coming in, and that's how it is, and it's still that way. So she says, but I know they're around you. She said, but there's a reason why they're around you. I said, why? She said, well, I saw you come into the door. I said, I know. My wife and I thought, well, like, that was kind of creepy. She says, well, I saw you that the way spirit sees you. I said, how do they see me? She said, you look like the sun.
I
You
knew
look like,
it. Ooh,
she said, you look like a figure,
goosebumps.
but you look like solid white light. She said, it's the brightest one I've ever seen. And I said, okay. And I said, what do I do with that? She said, well, spirit are coming to you because of that. I said, why are they coming to me? She said, because they believe that you're the light into heaven and they need your help. And I
Oh,
said,
wow.
how can I help them? She said, well, you could talk to them. You could cross them over. You can help them. I was like, how am I supposed to do that? What am I supposed to do with that? She said, well, you have a big decision to make. She said, you're like a beacon of light for them. And then they need help. So you need to make this big decision. I said, what decision is that? She said, oh, you're a medium. You're just untrained. You just don't know it. I said, I've been seeing these things since I was like 3 years old. She said, yeah. She said, you just haven't put two and two together. I was like, okay. She said, but I think maybe it has something to do with you being who you are now. Is there something significant? I said, yeah, I'm getting ready to turn 50 years old. She said, it might have to do with that. So she said, I need to go home and have a talk with God to basically tell him, say to him or ask him, is this what you want me to do? Because she said, you're either going to do this or you're not. And if you're not, it'll just kind of fade away. And I said, I just kind of looked at her and she said, I know you don't want this to go away, do you? And I said, no, it's been part of my life for a long time. And I'm not really not scared of it. It's just, I'm trying to figure out what's going on because I've seen a lot, but this is really intense. She said, well, then you need to have a talk with God and decide what you're going to do. So on the way home, my wife and I talked about it. I mean, we were still kind of stunned by everything. But when we got home, I just looked at her and said, how do I talk to God? I mean, how do you do that?
Right.
And she just kind of puts things into perspective with me. And she said, just talk to him like you do any other time. I mean, you do, don't you? I said, yeah. She said, well, just talk to him. And we'll see what happens. I said, all right. So I went in the bedroom and I turned out the lights and I said, if this is what you want me to do, I'll do anything you want me to do. I'll be anything you want me to be. Wherever you want me to go to do this, I'll do it. If that's what it takes, I'll do whatever it is. I mean, because at that point, I was at rock bottom. I didn't know where to go and what to do anymore. I thought I was really going out of my mind. So I had that talk and then I came out of the room and I said, okay, that's it. And then the next day, everything started to change. Within a couple of months, the skulls and all that scary stuff went away. And then I just started seeing people, but I started seeing them and then hearing them more and then feeling them more. They come up and touch me all day long. They touch me and pinch me and poke me all over my body. And then the biggest change came, and then I started seeing what we refer to as archangels
Mm-hmm.
in my
Yeah.
bedroom. I was actually seeing them during the day, but I didn't realize what that was. If you've ever seen someone smoke a cigarette and you see little petals of smoke coming off the cigarette, well, that's what I see during the day. That's what I see right now as I'm sitting here with the two of you. I see it right here all the
That's so
time.
cool.
It never goes away. In
Wow.
a dark room because I keep my bedroom completely dark so I can see everything. I see things in the light still, but in the dark room, I see these bluish white lights coming up from from the floor, up through the ceiling. But in the very beginning, it would be next to me, and if I turned my head, I wouldn't see anything else. It would stop. And then it progressed to the point where I could turn my head and look, and I'd see it just coming out of the floor, up through the ceiling, and it was beautiful to see. And then it changed again into from that to all the space around me were like the colors that you would see in that movie Avatar.
Hmm.
And it's still that way now. And then from those white lights, they changed again, and now I see them as their true selves, and they show their true selves to me. And um, they are with me all the time. And how many archangels do I have with me? All of them.
Well,
And all of them are, you can't count that high.
oh,
In the beginning, and so I've also found out they were touching my face. Another medium told me they were touching my face for yes and no answers. And I was
oh.
like, oh, she said, yeah, it's around your eyebrows. I was like, oh, is that what that is? I've been feeling it for years. I thought a bug was crawling across my face. Literally. So this is yes. And when I get a no, it feels like tears running down my face.
Oh, wow, that's
And in the
incredible.
beginning, it was two yeses. There was two archangels, one named Helen and one named Manos. And there was a yes here and here, and then a no here. And now it's progressed to the point where I get sometimes if it's a hard no, I get two no's here. But it's also progressed to the point that instead of it just being one Helen and Manos here, now I get touched by 52 different archangels, and I
Oh,
know the name of every single one of them who's touching me and when they're doing it. This one here, Jesus Christ. Right here, touching the top of my head here, is Archangel Mike. Um, that's the list.
wow.
Wow.
Plus, but there's one more on the list too. I got to put it on there because it happened like 3 weeks ago. I wrote my book. There was like 13 or 15 of them. Now, within the past year and a half, it's up to 52 now. I got one that touches me right here on the edge of the eyelashes there. He's only touched me 6 times. God. I've seen him 5 times. He's spoken to me 8 times. Yeah, it's different. Um,
Well, Mr. Daniel Jackson, you
so
gave
that's
me
where I'm at
goosebumps
now.
so many times. I think they're permanent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're-
yeah, it's permanent. It's never. I see spirit all the time. It never turns off. It never goes away. Nothing ever.
Wow.
Sometimes they talk to me. Sometimes they talk around me. And whoever does talk to me, I don't just see people. I see dogs, cats, horses, cows, fish, other beings from other worlds. I see everything.
Do you
And
feel
whoever,
claustrophobic ever, or you're just
um,
used to it?
um, No, I have a sense of security with it because I know they protect me from all negative energies. In other words, I can walk into any haunted house anywhere in the United States or anywhere in the world, and nothing negative can touch me.
I believe that.
Is that why in your closet you were not feeling the same energy that
Correct.
the crew was? Wow.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, because you said you were seeing all these scary beings and skeletons and skulls and all of that, and then it just stopped. Like,
Um,
what was
because I said yes,
uh
because I decided to say yes, and I could have said no and let it fade away and just be what it's been throughout. But they were testing me to see if I was going to move forward with this or not,
wow.
and be what I'm meant to be or not.
Yeah, that
So,
makes
do
Now,
you think it
there's
was
another
like,
part of me that is always continual, that no matter what, if I said yes or no, would still continue to happen,
yeah?
that I don't have any control over. But and that's the one thing that I have that no other medium has. But yes, but me being a part of it because I said yes and decided to move forward and use this for what it's meant to be, then because part of that is when I see spirit, when I'm in my bedroom and the lights are completely blacked out, it's like I'm sitting on a balcony somewhere and I'm looking down and I'm seeing into what we call the earthbound realm, this low energy realm. And I see thousands and thousands and thousands of people and other beings and dogs and cats and all that just hanging out. There's no buildings or anything or trees. There's just kind of like land and all these spirit. And I'm there to cross them over. When I cross spirit over, I cross them over thousands at a time.
Do you do it through meditation or
No,
do you do it
I'm
obviously not in a
completely,
dream?
completely coherent and awake.
Wow, that's
Even when
incredible.
in the beginning, when I started this, I used to have to meditate. Now I don't. Sometimes I will, even this morning, but when I woke up this morning, I woke up in my dark room and a message was already playing. It's like sometimes I close my eyes and the message is already there and it just goes in circles, keeps going and going until I figure out what it means. And even when that's going on, I could talk to them just like this. So
Wow.
since they bring it to me now like that, I don't have to meditate anymore. And besides, I'm always connected. That touching they don't just touch my face, but they put information into my mind so much so that now it has become like it's my own thought.
Wow.
In the very beginning, it was 5% of the day.
That's incredible.
Now it's 90% of the day, which means I'm losing me. I'm only 10% me now.
How do you decipher the difference? Like, how do you know what's you and what's
There is no difference anymore.
wow, okay.
I'm just
You're
them.
you're just a channel.
And the way that they touch me, when they're touching my face, they showed me. So archangels do not look like men with wings and shields and swords because they are not.
Yeah.
Most archangels that I see, when I see them standing in front of me, or because they completely surround me, I see 8-foot praying mantises standing in front of me.
Did you say praying mantis?
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I see
Wow.
8-foot praying mantises. I see some that look like birds, some that look like reptiles,
Mhm.
some look human, and some look humanoid, and some don't at all. So I've only seen one who looks like a human, and that's one of them. Her name is Helen, and she touches me on the back of my head. It feels like a couple of spiders going across my head. Um, yeah, I just, I, Archangel Michael does not look like a man. He's not glowing purple. He actually, he looks like a hybrid of like a horse and a moose. He has this big wide head. He
Mhm.
doesn't have any antlers, but he has these like brownish looking eyes, like almost like wolf eyes. And he has these big floppy ears, but he's got this big body. It's got real short hair on it. But what they are, because they are pure energy, they can manipulate themselves to look like something else for someone else, so it'll soothe their mind. Because if you saw 8-foot praying mantises standing in front of you, you'd run away
Yeah.
Yeah.
because that's
You
what they
answered
are.
all of my questions. I'm just going
I
to put my
know. That's
questions
sorry.
over there. That was incredible.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
No, it's the natural flow of a psychic medium. You already knew what we
Oh.
were going to ask. That was incredible.
It's just,
What an amazing story.
well, it's just that one other part that, so when you die, it's going to happen to you the way it happens for everybody else because everybody dies. I don't know why everybody says I can't believe, because everybody dies. We're not taught the correct way. But when
Mhm.
you die, you're going to stand up out of your body. You're going to look down and say, oh, I guess I don't need that anymore. You take a step to the left, you look to the right, and the light's going to turn on for you. It turns on for everybody. Everybody gets an individual life for themselves. And you either walk in or you don't. It's your choice. It's
Mhm.
not the choice of someone else or some religion telling you how to live your life the way they want you to live and give them 10%. And how do they know about 10% back then? Because they were kings and queens, and that's who wrote the Bible. God didn't do it. I mean, if I were to sit with either one of you, Christy, if I was to sit with you for maybe 2 hours, drinking some coffee and having a conversation, and then we said, see you later, and I came back to you, 20 years later and said, I'm going to write the book of Christy. Do you think I got everything I needed to know and from that 2 hour meeting to write your book? Well, neither does God about the Bible, so let it go, okay? So anyway,
Okay.
so you stand up and you either walk into that light or you don't. It is your choice. And a lot of them don't go in because, let me ask real quick. So Christy, you've been here 28 times. Melisa, 27 times. So as I was asking that, I'm asking in my mind how many times you've been here. They told me how many times. I asked in my mind, did you just say 28 times? And they touched me on my face right here. Yes.
That's so
So
cool.
so you've been here 28 times. You've had 27 other sets of moms and dads, brothers and sisters, dogs and cats, and 27 other astrological signs that mean absolutely horseshit because your body's born under the stars. Your soul is not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
And your soul is choosing the body it's coming into. So it's choosing the body and choosing when it's coming into. So if it's already choosing the body and choosing when it comes into, it knows when it's going to be here. So do those signs really mean anything? I mean, astrology is basically this: a bunch of people standing around looking up at the stars, going, look at that. Let's play connect the dots. It makes a fish. Wow. No, it doesn't. Okay. Because how can we have stars that for 12 signs out of 12 months? What do the rest of the stars mean to you? Nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. I mean, if you grew up on the planet Pluto and you lived on the opposite side, would you see the same stars? No, you wouldn't. Okay. And in the beginning, the actual first calendar was only 5 months, and then it went to 9 months, and then it went to 10, and then it went to 12. So in other words, they had 5 signs, and then they created 4 more, and then 1 more, and then 2 more. No. Okay. It's bullcrap. So don't believe it. So you will stand up by your body, and you'll either walk into that light or you won't. And a lot of them will stay here because when you wake up out of your body, either of you, if you wake up, Melissa, and you wake up and you have the perfect memory of all your life here, plus the perfect memories of all your other 26 lifetimes, you're going to know that if you walk into that light, there's a possibility you might have to come back.
Oh,
And
wow. So that's
lifetimes are
why,
hard. They're hard, right?
yeah.
So
But so this is
maybe you
why a
think
lot
of
of
all
souls
those.
stay.
Yeah, you think of all that and you go, maybe you don't want to come back.
So
So
then
you
what
don't.
happens if you don't go into the light?
You stay here and you work around here with all the other souls.
Until Daniel
A
finds
lot of them
you.
are pieces of crap. A lot of them are miserable, but not everybody is. I see dogs and cats and horses and cows and fish around here. There's no rainbow bridge. I'm just telling you, there isn't.
Mm.
But there's also no such place as hell. There's no such place as purgatory. There's no one being who's walking around with horns and a tail torturing anybody. Although there might be someone who's walking around with horns and a tail, but it's just because that's what he looks like where he comes from. You might think of him as being as a monster. Maybe he thinks you're a monster. Okay, so
I
you
like
either walk in or you don't, and that is your personal light. But there's always one other light that shines all the time for all souls to see. All the souls that are here walking around in this low energy place can cross over anytime they want to, but they have to want to cross over. Now, that's not the only reason why they may not want to cross over, but they may have thought that they were a horrible person, or someone told them they were horrible, or they're going to be judged by God. No one's judged by
Yeah.
God. We judge ourselves 1,000 times a day. Why does he need to do it once more? He just doesn't. Okay. I mean, they say he's a
Right.
merciful God, yet a fearful God. He's neither. He's a loving God. He's your father. Just treat him that way. He treats you just the same way because he's not going to banish you to a place for something that he gave you. He gave you
Right.
free will in order to make choices. And if he's an all-powerful being, don't you think he would have thought twice about saying, well, if I give them too much choice, they might do some bad things.
Right.
And so if he thought maybe we were going to do some bad things, don't you think he would have put a limit on it? But he didn't.
Yeah.
Because in order for us to learn, we have to figure things out. We have to be able to make any choice that we need to make. So no, he's not going to punish you for doing that because you're his child. Well, he would do that because we're all created from God, from a part of him which makes our soul as a divine soul. Jesus Christ is not the only divine soul. He's just your brother. We're all
Mhm.
divine souls. We just live in a world that has rules and laws by the people who control us. So let it go. But there's always that one particular light that shines all the time. This is the light into heaven. And that light is an actual soul in this physical body, in this physical world, to be here all the time. When you die, Christy, you get up out of your body, you go home, and then you might have to come back again because why? You didn't fulfill your purpose. And your purpose is we're here to help each other just for the sake of helping, not because you can, but because you should, but in a physical way that you're going to help someone to do something they cannot do or help them to figure it out for themselves. It's that simple. They can come up to you and say, excuse me, I'm lost. Can you help me find my way? And if you help them do it, then you're on your way to fulfilling your purpose so you don't have to come back here again. But just we don't do it enough times throughout all of our
Yeah.
lives because life gets in the way. And God
Yeah.
knows if we haven't filled it, he'll just bring us back because no one lives to be 150. Besides, at that point, it's going to hurt to pee. And who wants to be here for that? Nobody. But life isn't always going to be easy. It's not meant to be easy. If it was meant to be easy, what would be the point of living at all? You wouldn't appreciate the things you do have. So it's going to be hard. Cancer is not that's not a punishment. It's just these bodies are fallible. What it is your soul is learning to have cancer.
Yeah.
The soul does not feel the pain. It's only the body. It's the soul who's experiencing the human experience to learn from these things to bring it back to that other place. But no big deal. So this light that shines all the time is so that all souls can see it. They know where to go. They can see it off in the distance. Plus, since it is in a physical body, because when you go home and then you have to come back, whatever. This one doesn't do that. This one, when the body exterminates, another one is born automatically and
Oh,
goes
wow.
into that one. And then it stays here. And then when it's talking, like when you and I are talking, spirit can hear us around, but there's 7.5 billion of us. So it becomes like static, like when we're kids watching TV and it goes to that static at 2 o'clock in the morning. Not anymore, but whatever. But they can tune that out because they are pure energy. They can tune that out. But with this one, they cannot tune it out. They have to
Wow.
be able to hear it and they have to be able to see it to know where it to go. And being in the physical body, it can cross them over into that to guide them, to show them how to get there. And that light is me.
Wow, that's really incredible. That was really incredible, profound.
Thank you
I
for
just
sharing.
can't make that shit up.
What's that?
I can't make it up.
No. Yeah.
It just is. I didn't know that I was this until about 2.5, 3 years into doing this. And I found out through a channeled message that they kept calling me their shining light.
Wow.
Because I'm a portal for all souls. Anyone that comes into this world being born comes through me. Anyone that goes home comes through me. Anyone that comes here to visit comes through me. Everything.
What a mission.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Goodness. So, I mean, Christy and I on the podcast, we talk a lot about, all the wars and destruction and nuttiness that's going on in the world right now. And,
Yep.
we talk about the earth shift and the new earth and all of that. So I'm curious if you get
What do you
any
think?
messages.
That's what the title of my book is for. The New Beginning. That's New
Oh,
Earth.
perfect then. Because, yeah, I'm curious
I
like
didn't.
what the archangels say
Yeah.
about.
Even with that, I didn't come up with the title. They told me to write. They told me to write the book. They brought it to me in when I was first doing it, meditation. They showed me a man sitting there writing on some scrolls, and I was like, I was talking to him. I said, "What's that?" And this looks like he's writing on something. And then they said, "Yes." And then I said, "What's he writing?" And then they showed me a piece of paper and it had my handwriting on it. And I said, "What, do you want me to
Oh,
write a book
goosebumps
or something?" And
again.
then they said, "Yes." And then they started telling me. So, and then they told me the name. And I said, "The New Beginning." And this is so when I cross spirit over at night, I tell them where they're going to go and what they're going to do. And when I'm saying I don't call them prayers because prayer is not for asking for more than you're supposed to have. Prayer is for giving thanks for what you do have. But I always tell God that I will always bring His children home to Him and some to Him and some over to the new beginning because when this place does come to an end, we will start at a new place. We were actually on another place. You've heard of it. It's called Mars. They did a study there recently where they took a testing of the soil there, and they found an element within the soil that only occurs when there's nuclear explosion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we are here now, and when this place comes to an end, the end of my book doesn't say the end. It says 2332, because that's the end.
Wow.
And with
You
that, again, I'm not a mathematician by any means or anything, but if you take 2332, if you take the 23, you add it together, 2 plus 3 makes 5. And if you take the 32, you add it together, 3 plus 2 makes 5, and you add 5 and 5 together makes 10, and you turn that 10 around, what do you get? 0, 1. So when this place comes to an end, a new beginning starts on new earth. Again, I can't make this shit up.
Yeah.
No, you can't. And I don't get goosebumps for everything. I only get goosebumps for things that super resonate with me.
The goosebumps that are coming through, nothing to do with nerves, everything to do meaning that's your soul coming through
Yeah,
telling you that I'm
that-
telling you the truth.
That's why I love when I get goosebumps because I know they're just clarification. They're
Yes.
validation for me.
That's your soul coming through telling you, yes, this is right.
Yes. I love and they have not like they're permanent. You gave
Same
me
thing with
permanent goosebumps.
like when you listen to a song and you get that one song, it gives you the vibe because it's that vibration, it's that
Yeah.
frequency that's coming through, connecting with you.
Aligns.
Same thing when you hug some people and you give them a hug and you walk away, but some people you don't want to let them go, and it makes you feel good inside because it's that energy transfer that's happening.
Yeah, even that gave me goosebumps. I'm really, really resonating with a lot of stuff you're saying, Mr. Sir.
Mr. Sir. All right, Mrs. Christie.
Oh,
So what do you want?
Let me see. Let me see if I have a cool question because I did think of like 3 more and you answered them back to back to back. Like, no joke.
You're welcome.
I'm dumbfounded, really. You're
All right.
incredible. Thank you.
do the angels have any specific messages about like what's going on right now? And
Yeah, one of the reasons why I go on the shows that I'm going on is because I'm trying to bring the message, the one clear message that they have is why we're here and what our purpose is. And our
Yeah.
purpose again is we're here to help each other. I mean, the true message that was brought a long time ago through Jesus. He was here to show everybody, to let everybody know that we could all live together as free men and women. We could take care of each other. We could share everything in the world. We don't have to live under power and control, anything. Um, and that's what he was trying to do. And the reason he was able to do the things that he did, like heal people, is because he'd only been here one time. His soul, he was connected to his soul that much. He could do things.
Yeah.
And he was trying to teach us that we could all do it, but we all have to get back to it because we got away from it. And the only way we get away from that now is basically getting rid of all the garbage. I mean, no one should be watching the Super Bowl and Taylor Swift. I'm telling you, it's not important. It doesn't help anybody. We shouldn't be watching sports and all this other garbage because it's all misdirection to keep us away from letting us know how much control and power we have over ourselves.
The
We
distraction,
don't need that.
really.
Yeah, it's a distraction.
I agree
So,
with that one too.
so yeah, he was trying to do that, but the people who were in power and control, religion and kings and queens, saw that. Religion doesn't want you to know they were against Jesus. They don't want you to know that. They only use his name and use the name of God in order to have power and control over people,
Yeah.
to tell you how to live your life the way they want you to live it, give them 10%. So, but they saw that happening and they pulled him off the streets. They said, we can't have this happen. He's taking our power and control away, our money away from us. So they put him on a cross and tortured and murdered him in front of everybody to make an example out of him. He didn't die for your sins because no one sins. Okay. But the kings and queens have that power and control and tell you you're sinning. When you're sinning, that means you're just breaking their rules. Well,
Their
who said
rules.
you need
Their rules.
right? Who
I
said
tell
you
that
need
to my kids
follow
all the
their
time.
rules?
There's no such
Right.
thing as sin. There's
Right.
karma and the universe will take care of that. But
Right. Who needs
you're
to
not
follow their
sinning
rules?
and you're not going to hell because it doesn't exist.
Right, because it doesn't exist. And you're not sinning because who needs to follow their rules? You don't need to. So yeah, so I always tell people all the time, why would you wear that cross around your neck? Because you're wearing a form of punishment. It's not to remind you of how much Jesus did for you, it's to remind you how much control and power they have over you.
I never
Let it
looked at
go.
it that way.
yeah.
Yeah, let it go. But yeah, the message is to teach people why we are actually here. It's much bigger picture than we know. And what is our purpose? And the purpose is to help each other and literally help each other. So we got to get rid of this whole power and control. We got to get rid of all this money and all that. That's not important. What the true value in this world is us.
Mhm.
If I have a brand new car or a brand new motorcycle, because I ride motorcycle, there's no value to it unless it's in my hands,
Mhm.
unless I have it with me. Other than that, it's just a hunk of metal. Gold is just a hunk of metal. Diamonds are, rocks. I mean, come on, we base our money system on paper and rocks. Really? What's the point?
That's so
The true
true.
value in this world is I could be a farmer, you could be a doctor, you could heal my wounds, and I could give you some food, and we could provide for each other, and we
I
could call it a
see
day.
that.
Yeah.
That's what we could do.
That's
But
the
we
new
don't.
Earth vision.
Right.
Yeah.
Simpler way of life.
Amen.
We could even still have the same things we have today, but we could share it in a way where if you wanted to go out and have a Porsche and I had a Porsche, and we could both put all the cool doodads on that Porsche to make it as cool as we want to, but we're not proving it to anybody because everybody could have a Porsche.
Yeah.
And once we figure out we could
Equality.
all have one and we don't have to prove anything to each other anymore, then maybe
Mhm.
we won't want to have those things anymore because
Exactly.
they're no important.
Exactly. Everything's competition.
Yeah, so you
I
let it
agree with
go
that.
because there doesn't need to be a competition. We talk about protesting all kinds of things. There's a competition right now we don't protest that we should be protesting. It's called the Olympics. Because what were the Olympics based on? These were based on being in an arena with a king and a queen and you fighting for your freedom. And now we call it the Olympic Games. No,
Mm,
it's about proving your worth.
yeah.
You know, God knows my worth. Jesus knows my worth. And because of that, I don't need to prove my worth to anyone else because he knows my worth, so I know my worth. And if you're going to tell me my worth isn't any good, then I guess you're basically going against God. Have a great day.
And that's
You're
their
really
problem.
saying.
So
What was
yeah,
Emily?
people just don't get it. But I'm here to try to teach them to let this stuff go,
Yeah.
to get back to basically get back to taking the power back, because we relinquished the power a long time ago over to
Yeah.
them, kings and queens, and now it's a government and a big corporation. We need to take it back because they're abusing it. They're abusing us. We can't keep going on this way. So we got to get away from it.
My dad sent me a video that he found on TikTok, and it was, I forget exactly what they were saying, but basically, like, she was saying we have to pay to live, we have to pay
Yep.
to eat good, we pay for all this stuff. And, she listed it all out. And then at the end of the video, it was like, we are not living in the country that has the most freedoms in the world, or like,
No.
you're not free. You're a free range human living on a tax farm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, they keep all the
Yeah.
information to themselves. They don't get any of it to us, and they trickle it out. I mean, I have a Samsung 21 Ultra, and it's got 3 cameras on it. And then the new one has what? I don't know. How many cameras does the new one have? What are we actually getting for another camera, another phone that's going to cost you another $2,000? What are you
Right.
actually getting? You're
Right.
not getting anything.
Right.
But they have the technology. It is very known in that community that the technology that they do have. If you've ever seen a Star Trek movie, we have that technology.
Yeah.
We've had it since the early 20s. But why
Yep.
don't they give it to us? Because they want to keep it for themselves. They use it for themselves. And that's why we have all these issues why you can't find the people that are human trafficking and all that. Our government is doing that. They're
Yeah.
not pretending,
Mhm.
telling you that we don't know what's going on. They know what's going on because
Yeah.
it's them who are doing it,
Exactly.
but they are keeping everything from us. They don't want to tell us now because if they did, we'd kill them all
Yep.
because they would be caught. And they're just going to keep on continuing to do that. No, the left wing and the right wing are on the same bird. I'm sorry, the party system doesn't work. They say the red hates the blue and the blue hates the red. They love each other. They do because they're in control and they're in power, and they just want us to
Right.
believe that they're not loving each other. They hate each other on camera, and behind closed doors, they love each other. It's a
Mm.
bunch of baloney. Don't
I
believe it.
agree.
Yeah, and we got to get away from that. Spirit does not want us to do what we're doing now. I mean, come on, we're pointing rockets at each other all the time. Do you honestly believe that's a good thing? I don't.
There's so many people right now that are like waking up to all of this,
Correct.
right? So,
Correct.
like, in your opinion, Daniel, and from the messages that you've heard from the archangels and from Spirit, are we headed in the right direction?
No,
Oh, dang it.
no. We're destroying this place. We have been destroying this place ever since we started burning coal and oil. And back then, when started burning coal and oil, they had the technology back then too. It was very secretive, but
Mm.
by the
Mhm.
time it was in the 1940s and 50s, yeah, we Tesla had the idea of putting out free energy. What did they just do? They destroyed him.
They killed
They
him
keep
and took the technology.
right. Because the electric companies needed to make their money.
Mhm.
So yeah,
So, how do we exist in a system like this, but also try to move towards like that direction of the new Earth frequency that we want to?
learning to take care of ourselves. You see a lot of videos on YouTube and what have you on Rumble now that people telling people that you need to start your own gardens, start growing your own food. So you can take them to market and possibly sell them there or barter with other people. Start your own communities. Get together with a lot of other like-minded people to do this thing together. The more that we do that together and get away from the actual system will crumble
Yeah, that's what I hear.
because we will no longer be their cash cows.
Right.
Mm-mm. Hell no, we won't.
No,
I
we
keep
got to get
hearing
away from
that
it.
importance of cultivating your community.
Yes, and getting in touch with each other because right now social media is not social. I
Mm-mm.
mean, you see 10 kids standing around talking to each other, but they're all staring at their phones talking to each other. They
Yeah.
don't talk to each other anymore. When I was a child, when I went to school or even in the high school, yeah, my friends and I, we'd have shotguns in the back of our trucks, and after class, we'd show, look what I got for Christmas and stuff like. Nobody was bringing them in, and no one was killing anybody. Now they don't know
Right.
how to deal with each other, and they think this is the way to do it because if I play a video game and says I can kill everybody in there, I can go in there and kill everybody and not have any consequences. They don't realize the consequences.
Right.
Yeah, but they also have no respect for each other either. They lost it
So is
because you know why? You can't blame them. Blame us because we put those phones in front of their faces and those computers in front of their faces.
there hope for humanity?
There is. I mean, I wouldn't be here if there wasn't.
Right.
I wouldn't be doing this.
None of us would be here. None of us doing
Right.
the jobs we're doing now would
Right.
be
We're
here.
trying to wake everybody else up. And I will do it until my last day.
Yeah.
But I know when my last day is. So
Oh no.
Do you?
That's one thing I never want to know.
I know.
my birthday's in November on the 18th. I just turned 57. So I'm going to die when I'm 83 years old. I'm going to die in August on the third week on a Wednesday night. I'll go to bed and it'll be it.
Wow.
I
That's
needed to know how much time I had
Right, because
in
you have
order
a
to do
big
the job.
mission.
Yeah, I'm not afraid to die. I mean, I know where I'm going.
Yeah.
Right.
It'll take me.
So do you only assist spirits into crossing over, or do you provide like readings for people, spirit readings?
Yeah, I do like I said, I did readings over the weekend. I actually had this one was a pretty cool one because I had 7. I did 15 readings. 7 of those people who came up to me actually had an ability. They didn't say
That's
anything to me.
incredible.
What it is they sit in front of me and I hold their hand. But first I say to them, I say the basics. I get tired of saying it sometimes, but I say, I can only tell the truth one way. I can't tell it 50 ways until one way suits you. Meaning if
Right.
you ask me a question and I get the answer, that's the answer. If you try to ask that question a different way because you don't like the answer, basically because you don't like the truth, tough shit. Because that's the answer. I get my answers from what we refer to as archangels, not men with wings and shields and swords, but they are beings of a higher consciousness that are here to help us. But we need to learn to listen, trust, and follow through. Now, let me hold your hand and see what's going on. So they give me their hand and they hold it and I go, no, hold it like you mean it because they never hold it real tight. And I said, give me the Kung Fu grip and they hold on to it. And then what I usually see is I see spirit animals, but the spirit animals for me acts out what that person's doing in their lifetime. And then when they act it out, like one lady came to me and I saw a horse walking around in front of her and it would walk in front of her back and forth, back and forth. And then it would walk in front of her. It would look to the left, look to the right, back up, turn around, go the other way, look to the left, look to the right, back up, turn the other way. And I said, let's see. I said, well, the horse in front of you means that you are put a wall up around yourself and you have a trust issue with people and you don't trust anybody. So you sit in your house all day and hide from people. And you have because the horse is going back and forth and doesn't know where to go, means you're very indecisive and you have a problem that you don't have any direction in your life. And then she started crying.
Oh.
Because I was right.
Mm-hmm.
But those other 7 people that came in front of me, as soon as they sat in front of me, I was like, whoa, okay, hold on. And I said, each one of them I said, hold, I have to ask some questions. And I come back and I said, okay, I know what's going on here. I said, but I looked at every one of them. It was different times of the day. And I said, so were you going to tell me yourself, or you're waiting for me to tell you that you have an ability and you're actually a medium? And then, again, it was a good thing I had a box of tissues there because every one of them cried.
Right.
One of them actually sat in front of me and I got that answer from her. But as I was about to get that answer and turn to ask some questions, I felt something and turned around and I saw this girl sitting in front of my table. And I was like, and I just looked at her and she just looked at me like, what the heck's he looking at? And I said, you and I need to have a talk. And then I said to my
Right.
wife, I said, is she going to be coming up to our table and doing a reading? She said, yeah. I said, good, because you and I need to have a talk because it's a big one. And I said, don't, it's not bad, but you need to sit in front of me. And then she sat in front of me and the same thing. But she showed me some pictures. And then when I saw the pictures, I said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry they did that to you. I'm sorry they did these atrocious things to you. And she looked at me and she said, I think they raped me. I said, they did. How would I know that?
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I
that's
didn't
incredible. And
until that moment. But yeah, so that's the way it works for me. I get told, and then I'm here to help them. I'm here to give them some peace of mind and clarity, but I'm here to give them direction.
beautiful.
I'm not the one you come to if you want to just talk to your mom and dad. But I
Right.
mean, I can get information about your mom and dad, but it's archangels telling me that stuff. It's not them. So, but in the truth form of things, if there's any medium that you go to and he says absolutely that he can talk to your mom and dad, take your money and get up and walk away, because that's not the truth. Because the spirit will only talk to you if they want to talk to you, and they're now living a life that's uninterrupted. So if they want to do that and they don't want to come talk to you, they won't.
Right.
Some spirit want to be seen, most don't.
Wow. These
That's
people that
incredible.
came up to you, the 7 that had abilities, did they all know that they had these abilities, or?
Yes, they all know. They all know, but they want to see if I know.
Okay.
It's like a
Also
guessing game.
test.
Like I said to him, I said, "Were you going to tell me, or were you waiting for me to tell you that you have an ability?" And then that's when they smile, and then that's when they start crying. Most of them are like, "I don't know what to do with this." One of them said she was going to a doctor and they were giving her a bunch of medications because of the things she was describing to them. They said she was schizophrenic. I said,
Makes
"You're
me
not
so sad.
schizophrenic."
Yeah.
Yeah, no one's schizophrenic. They hear
I agree.
voices because they're hearing voices.
I
Yeah.
can agree to that. I agree so much to that. So much to all of the medicines they push on people for their mental
The people who
stability
are in
and
the crazy
well-being.
house are not crazy.
No, I agree. Even the people with ADHD and scatterbrains or on the
But
spectrum,
some of them
none of
can
it.
be crazy because they can't handle it.
Because nobody's supporting them.
Well, if you
You
heard
know?
50 different voices in your head,
Yeah,
what would
quite
you think
overwhelming.
too? Yeah, I hear 50 different voices in my head every single day, but I know what it is. I understand it. I'm not afraid of it. I have guns in my house and I've had a spirit come through to me and tell me to pick up a gun and shoot myself. But the reason they want me to do that is because they want me to get depressed about it. Because these negative energies need that negative energy
Yeah,
to feed off of. So they want
yeah.
me to feel depressed. They like picking on the people who are alcoholics and drug addicts and who are in depression. And I mean, here's depression is basically you holding on to those feelings because you
Mhm.
choose to hold on to them. You can go to a doctor and he can give you some pills to suppress it, or he can talk you down from it. You know what you could do? You don't have to go to the doctor because you could talk yourself down from it and learn to let it go. But people don't because they want to remain the victim because it gives them a sense of this is
Yep.
their identity. No,
It
let it
gets some
go.
attention.
Yeah, because I hate to use the word, but they are attention whores. That's what
Yeah,
they
I
are.
know. I know a lot of those victim
Yeah,
mentality
yeah.
attention
So
fiends.
when you have those people in your life, if they're not helping to lift you up and be a positive force in your life, if they're not lifting you up and you're lifting them up, it's got to be a back and forth thing. If they're not doing that, oh, it's that piece of crap person. Click. Done.
I live for this
Done.
message.
Done. You let them go. And if they come back into your life because you gave them a second chance and they start being a piece of crap again, you cannot blame them. Blame yourself because you allowed that to happen. So don't allow it to happen and let them go. I don't care if it's your mom, your dad, your brother, or sister, your best friend, your so-called best friend, because we all have one of those. If they're not helping you in your life, you let them go. And then once you do that, after a while, they'll stop calling and they'll go find some other person to bug. But if you're that person walking around gossiping all day and saying things about people all day because it makes you feel like you have power and control because
Right.
you have a sense of power because I can say things about people because I know things about people. Yeah. I always say we create our own storms, but then we cry when it rains all the time, meaning we create the drama. But why do we get so much drama back? Because you're putting it out there. You put it out there, you get it back. It's that simple. They just don't understand it.
And we
Separate them.
serve them best by us remaining high vibe. high vibe and not going down to
Right.
their level.
But we can also there's a big misconception. There's a lot of misconceptions in this. I hate to call it a business, but it is. But you can only go so high with your vibrations. They talk about, oh, I'm going to raise up to the fifth dimension. No, you're not. Okay. Your body cannot physically be in the fifth dimension
Yeah.
because it's not built to be in the fifth dimension. It's built to be here. Okay. And you can only raise your vibrations. I mean, the Dalai Lama himself is no higher than you are. And you cannot be any, but you can get up to him, but no one can be, you can't get any higher than that. Why? Because you're connected to this meat suit, because you are here to learn lessons and fulfill this purpose and do this human experience. You're not going to be one with spirit without being spirit. It's just that simple. Now,
Right.
mine is pretty high because I have this, I'm this light thing, you know,
Mhm.
and I'm connected all the time. But I also found out about a year ago, the reason I'm so connected is because I mean, I volunteered for this to come here
Yeah.
to be this light because I'm one of them. Archangels.
Yeah.
Still am. I'm
Fifth
just walking
dimension is
around.
more of a mindset than a physical
Yeah.
place. It's
Yes,
more of a
I'm
service to others, but
Yes.
not without loving yourself first.
correct. I don't know about you guys, but I look in the mirror every day and go, man, I love you, dude. No, just kidding.
I'm
So
working
anyway,
on it. I
yeah,
really
but
am working on it.
yeah, you wake up in the morning and look in the mirror because you're not going to lie to yourself and tell yourself, I'm going to be a good person today. I'm going to do good things and I'm going to help as many people as I can. When I go to a store and I walk through a doorway, you see people looking at each other and they're going, they're trying to avoid each other. Don't. When you go past somebody, say hello. It takes that much effort. We spend more energy trying to avoid each other than we could actually use to say something to
Embrace.
each other. You might brighten somebody's day that day just because they were going through something and you say hello and they're like, it changes their outlook. Hello,
It's
how are you? I'm
actually
good.
one
How
of
you
my
doing?
favorite things to do when I go in public. I can like
Yeah.
feel your energy and I can know the right thing to say to make you
Right.
go home and be like, that was a freaking cool person. They made me feel good about myself today. So that's one of my favorite things to do.
Well, the reason why you feel their energy is because you're an empath, but you know that already,
I
correct?
am. Yes, I do.
Right. I mean, you're the type of person that walks up to a building and before you even walk in, you feel that negative energy within inside of it. And you know you have to go in there and you
Yeah.
go in and then when you come out, it's like walking out through a smoky bar and you come out and it's still all over you sometimes. But you just have to, you know, as long as you're doing some grounding work and
I'm
clearing
working
work,
on it.
then you're okay. But yeah, but I know it gets to be overwhelming at times, but you just
can
learn to
be.
let it go. Yeah.
But you know
Good
what?
job.
We're all managing to learn to work with what we got. You
Yeah,
are, Melisa is,
absolutely.
I am. You know, it's a
Absolutely. Try.
process. I just recently turned 40, so I'm just now coming into who I am
You're 40?
and understanding all these things that come with me. And so the empath thing is only a few years new to me, but I'm very much learning how to work with that, just the way you are with your mediumship.
Well, 40's working with you pretty well because holy shit, boom shakalaka, you know?
Thank you. That's a
Boom,
huge
yeah.
compliment. Thank you.
Boom, you know, hey,
Wow, Daniel, you rock.
eh, I just try to do the best that I can and I try to be as positive as I can and I try to lift people up as much as I can because I always tell people don't judge anybody, but when you're walking out of a store and you see somebody walking in, they're coming up to you and maybe they look all disheveled or you don't like their hair or you don't like their pink shoes, whatever, you know, before you judge them, take a self inventory of yourself and think about all the crap you've been through in your entire life, and then look at that person and go, maybe they're going through something too, and then and either say hello to them and try to brighten their day, or do the best you can, or just bite your tongue and walk away because you don't have a right to do it.
Right.
Because we're all the same, you know. I mean, we all you've been here both so many times, you know. What does that mean you have in common with the other 7.5 billion people on the face of this earth? They've all been to heaven. They all had to come back just like you. So what does that mean? We're all equal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one's better than anyone else. People are famous because we make them famous.
Yeah.
We need to stop doing that.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because Kim Kardashian, whatever.
Wow. Well, this
Yeah.
has been such an incredible conversation. Like,
You guys any other questions?
You literally answered everything I had written down on my nifty little iPad here,
Oh my God, sorry.
just by talking. Like you were just bam, bam, bam. So I'm good.
this
That was incredible.
Such incredible information that you've shared with us, Daniel. Thank you so much for sharing your story. We do have 2 questions that we ask all of our guests.
Boom, and that doesn't mean the devil. There is no such thing. One of my archangels is Lucifer. And you've probably seen. So I'm sure you know what angel numbers are and everything, right?
Yes.
1111.
Uh-huh.
That's who it is.
That archangel.
He helps with do business stuff. He helps me. He
Boom.
brings me something. I tell it to my wife, and it's a business decision.
Beautiful.
That is so cool.
And he doesn't have horns and wings and all that crap.
No,
He
that's
actually has like dark brown hair. He's got like a dark brown beard, mustache, and everything. Yeah.
and not the devil. That
Yeah, not the devil. Pretty
You know
handsome.
why?
I mean,
Because the devil isn't real.
right, the devil isn't real because these negative feelings that are within people come from their own free will, their own choice. They just, I mean, because you wake up in this baby body going, what? And your mom and dad's going, I'm your mom and dad. And you're going, I don't know who the hell you are, but okay. And then they raise you and they teach you the ways of the world. And sometimes it affects people differently. And some people come out of this world going, oh, everything's rainbows and love and light and unicorns and stuff like that. It isn't, but and then some people come out of this going, I hate you and I hate you and whatever. You know, you could choose not to hate someone. You just have to choose to do that because if you take 2 children of the age of 2 of every race, creed, and color and stick them all in one room and then turn 2 of them around and say, I want you to point to me who you hate, they don't know what you're talking about because they haven't learned how to do it yet. But we've taught them how to hate, have pain, anger, sorrow, grief, guilt, anguish, sorrow, grief, hate, everything. They learn everything from us. So everything that's going on in the world is a product of us. You can't blame it on us, a particular set of people.
no.
We're all to blame. So how do we change it? We teach each other differently. So
Love it.
That's a beautiful
I love
message.
that.
so what's your 2 questions?
My question is, what are you here for in the new earth? Like what paradigm shift, what type of healing modality, what is the change that you would love to see happen?
I would like to see us work together. I would like to see us take care of each other. Again, I'd like to see us help each other. I'd like to see us take this power and control away. And I'd like to see us all as equals. No one is better than anyone else.
Beautiful.
That's what I want to see.
Me too.
It's
so
a hard
much.
road, but it has to start somewhere. I mean, it's time for people to stop being part of the problem, start being a part of the solution. You know,
I have a
my
feeling
biggest
that
message, we all live on the same planet. No one is going anywhere anytime soon, so we better start to get along with each other before we annihilate each other. Because if we don't do something soon, that's where we're headed. We need to start doing it now.
Well,
That's what we need.
Daniel, my question happens to be if you had one message to give to every single person on the planet, what message would that be? I think you just answered that.
My other message is, I love you.
Hmm.
And he loves you too.
That's so beautiful. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Well, this was such an incredible conversation. I want to thank Daniel for coming on the show today. And Daniel, before we wrap up, please share with our listeners where they can find you if they want to connect with you and learn more.
I'm in an alley down the street around the corner. Not really. Yeah, peddling my books. No, not really. They can find my book if they want to. It's called Daniel Jackson, The New Beginning, My Awakening as a Spirit Medium. It's my story on how everything of this happened to me and for me throughout my life. But they wanted to get to chapter 12 because that's the most important part. It was 25 messages that they brought to me to write down. And I mean that sincerely. I mean, just write them down. When I proposed this book and gave it to my editor, she sent those 25 messages back because she said my grammar for the rest of the book was horrible. And it is. I mean, my wife didn't want to read it. I said, here, read this. She's like, oh my God, no. But when I presented everything to the editor, she sent the 25 messages back. She said, they don't need to be edited. They're perfect.
Wow.
And I said, that's because it didn't come from me. It came from a perfect place. So these are messages that came from archangels, essentially coming from God to help us to be the better version or the best version of us that we can be, and in turn help others to do the same for them, which in turn helps us, which will get us on our road to fulfilling our purpose and not having to come back again. Because that's the ultimate goal, to to punch your dance card and get your golden ticket and go home and not have to come back here again. So they can find me on Amazon. Just go to Amazon and put in the search bar Daniel Jackson, The New Beginning, My Awakening as a Spirit Medium. And it'll come up with this picture of the man who's walking into the bright white light.
He's right behind you.
That's me. Yeah, it's behind me. And
Is that available on Audible?
Oh, well, man, you're the second person. All right. So
I'm blind, so I can't really see the books very well.
I did a podcast yesterday, and he said, "You got to do an audiobook?" And I was like, my wife and I just again talked about it last night. It would be so hard. I mean, we're talking about it, but it would be so hard for me. I'd have to read it on the screen, word for word. And as this guy was telling me, he was like, man, I don't think you'd be able to get through word for word because you'd start to have these little notes on the side. You'd probably say like 10 or 15 cuss words. And because I would probably change some of the stuff that's in my book because now things are so much different since this book. But I mean, it's possible. I really got to sit down and take the time to do it. But I'm so busy doing. I mean, even beyond doing the shows I do and going to do readings and talking to people, and I'm out in the parking lot. I'm talking to people because they say something about my truck because I have a Jeep Gladiator, and back in Delaware, everybody named their Gladiators. So I asked Spirit, what should I name it? They named it for me. My truck, it's a black Jeep Gladiator with red stickers on it that says Lucifer. Because I had a lady come up to me the other day in the mall because I go to the mall and walk, so I can get my exercise because I'm old as shit. And she bangs on my window. She says, "What's with Lucifer?" And I said, "What about it?" She said, "He's the devil, and then he's Satan." And all. I said, "No, there's no such thing as Lucifer, the devil. There's no such thing as Satan. There's no such place as hell." I went through everything with her, and I said, "My name's Daniel Jackson. I'm a spirit medium." "No, spirit mediums are fake. They're false," and all that. And she's yelling and screaming at me. And I said, "Hey, thanks for judging me, but hey, have a great day." But,
right?
Yeah, it just is what it is. It's good. But that's the reason why they wanted me to do that, to have a platform for it. So I'm always out there. So getting the time to do an audible book, I don't know, man.
If anything, I can highlight it and have my phone read it.
Says when they read my book and they read the story, they say they hear my voice telling the story to them. So
I love that.
I guess maybe I'll do one. So yeah, they can find me there on Amazon. The paperback is $8 and the digital book is $6.46. I sell it for $8 for one reason, because I ain't trying to make $1 million.
Right.
I'm trying to help as many people as I can.
Get the message out. Beautiful.
Yeah, that's the important part. And if they want to get a reading with me, they can go to www.spiritmediumdaniel.com. It's one long word. I get a lot of readings from people who have an ability and they feel as though their ability is something more, something closer to what I have. And it is. So as soon as I see the name, I go, oh, and I go, oh, and then they tell me and I go, oh, I have to have the big talk with them. The big talk is everything that's in this book that I went through. I went through some stuff, some harsh stuff. Like they were touching me. Angels touch me all the time now, but they were touching me, working on my soul so that I could see them, hear them, feel them, communicate with them better. Every time that they did that, and they did it twice a month, the very next day for the next 3 days, it would be coming out of both ends. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And I was purging. I was getting rid of. So this went on and on and on and on for 3 years. Now, when I said yes to this, that's part of what I said yes to. Would you want to do that? And
I mean,
right.
For this mission,
but if you don't know what's coming,
right.
Yeah.
So I give this reading to these. I explain everything that happens to them and for them, what may or may not happen, everything, because it's a huge commitment, because this comes first. If I'm going to go on vacation and this opportunity comes up, I cancel the vacation. This always comes first. I work for God. That's what I do. And I'm out in Arizona because I lived in Delaware and he brought me here. They told me in a channeled message I would move to Arizona 5 years ago. They told me out west, and then eventually the year before we got here, Arizona. I said, where? They said, you'll know. I woke up the next day, told my wife, give me a map of Arizona, put it in front of me. I closed my eyes and took my finger and touched. No. Yes. We're moving to Sierra Vista, Arizona. We we put our house on the market and bought a house in a week. Really? So yeah, so They brought me here, but what's here is the important part because I live next to Fort Huachuca, largest intelligence base in the United States. And in the 60s and 70s, they did experiments on psychic mediums.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm being followed.
Oh, I don't doubt
So
that.
no big deal. I get
No
it.
big deal.
But yeah, you can
You're
find it on
protected.
Amazon. Pretty simple. You want to get a reading, again, spiritmediumdaniel.com. You can get a reading with me. A reading with me is about $150, and it will last probably between 2.5 to 3 hours. So be prepared. If it goes to 4 hours, I don't care. And you know how much I'm going to charge you at that point? I'm not. Because it's important for me to get the information that you need to get some peace of mind and clarity and direction in your life. I've had readings that went 5 or 6 hours. I don't care because I'm just trying to
That's
help
someone
you.
who's
Somebody
really
has,
doing spiritual work. I love that. I
yes,
love that.
we have to do it. I'm committed. So I'm committed to everything that I do with this. So, and then they can get the reading, they can get the book if they wanted. I have a group on Facebook called Spirit Medium Daniel group. They can join. They can try to join because I get touched for yes and no. So if I see their name and I ask them, does this person have good intentions? No, decline. That's simple. I don't mess
I'm
around.
going to
I'm not playing
join.
their games. What's that?
I'm going to join. I hope they say
Yeah,
yes.
go ahead and go on. Yeah,
Okay.
just I'll know who you are, lady. Just
Okay.
and then I let people come in there, and I mean, I post things once in a while, but not all the time because I'm busy. But anybody who wants to come in and just ask questions, ask. I'm on that group a lot, and then if I see your question, I'll answer it. Or maybe I'll just instant message you, and you and I'll have a talk about it because I do things for the reason of just because. Why not?
Well,
So
thank you for your.
just trying to help people. And then if they want to watch my show, Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson, me, Daniel Jackson. That's how I started. Kind of goofy, but they can find me at www.beyond-the-veil.com. We have about 75 or 76 shows on there. I already have another 40 or so recorded already. I don't have to do any interviews until March of 2025, so which is cool, but whatever. But yeah, I have all kinds of authors on there. Some woman found me. She was a producer of George Norrie's show, and
Oh, I
so
love George.
she brings me all these guests, so I have them on my show. So we have a lot of those on there. I have a lot of individual shows because I talk about things that are real and not real in this metaphysical world, like smudging. Smudging doesn't work. Okay. If you want, it'll work for putting out good intentions, but it's not going to make negative energies go away because they're in another realm. They don't have a body, they don't have lungs, they don't smell, and they don't breathe. So the only thing you're doing is setting off your fire alarms. Let it go. Okay. Just put out the good intentions, you'll be okay. Because most people have negative energies around them because they are a negative person. They just don't want to tell you that. That's all. But yeah, you can find me at Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson. You can find it on YouTube. You can find it on Rumble. And the show is video and audio, and you can hear it on all the big ones like Spotify, Stitcher, Apple, all that stuff. So I'm pretty much everywhere. I'm like an old whore, but better.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your services, Daniel.
I don't
I
look so
really
horrible.
No.
Yeah.
no.
I just try to go out there and try to put as much information out there as I can because the truth needs to be out.
Yeah.
Because it's not.
Yes. I love that. Yes.
We need the
Thank
truth.
you.
Started the show too because we
And-
wanted to share
right.
about truth.
Right, because someone has to do it, and I'm not afraid to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've already had my Men in Black situation, and it wasn't fun, but I don't care.
Oh, we have to have you back. We need more.
I know. Like,
We have to
You're
do
not
this again.
Yeah, anytime, man. We'll do the same thing. Book me again. I mean,
yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm home
We
today
will.
doing podcast, yesterday, tomorrow, a couple next week. I mean, I'm pretty much semi-retired. I was deemed disabled by the state because I'm losing muscle mass in my hands and stuff. I can't do much anymore. Diabetic, so
No, you're living to 83.
get off the
We know you're
sugar,
good.
kids. Don't eat the sugar. Stay away from ice cream. Unless it's chocolate because that's the only flavor. But yeah, it's not. So yeah, I do this and yeah, ride motorcycles. So
I love it. Well,
I
we'll
do too.
definitely have you back on the show, Daniel.
yeah, absolutely. And hopefully I will let you I'll let you ask a bunch of questions, and I'll just keep my mouth shut until you ask them.
Oh, I know my first question next time is going to be the Men in Black story. So we're going to
Me
say,
too.
yeah. That's cool.
I'll say it to you this way: it's still taking place.
Oh, yeah. Wow. There's so much we don't know about that's out there, you guys. So this is why we love having guests like you on the show, Daniel, so we can amplify what's really going on out there and just share with, use our platform to share with other people the healers, mediums, and channels that are here to bring in the new earth and that are here to help us all evolve and raise our vibration and make the world a better place. So we're so appreciative of you joining us today and sharing your.
I hope so. And it doesn't hurt that I'm sitting here with two good-looking women, so I'm okay with that.
Oh, we love you. Stop it. Keep talking.
Boom.
Awesome.
You're not so bad yourself, Daniel.
I'm old.
You're wise and you are doing beautiful work out in the world, sir. And
I'll put it this way, Christy. I look great in clothes.
Me too.
Otherwise, not so much, but all right.
I love this. Okay, sorry. I'll let you do your thing, Melisa. Go.
All good. Just want to once more thank Daniel for being with us on the show today. We will link all of your website and socials and channels and everything in the show notes. So if anybody resonates with Daniel, you want to learn more, want to get in touch, all of those links will be included in the show notes for you. Thank you again, Daniel, for joining us today. And thank you all for tuning into New Earth News, a show where we talk all things 5D and the New Earth every Friday on YouTube. So if you're watching us on YouTube, feel free to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. New Earth News is also available as a podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And if you are so inclined, give your girls a 5-star rating. Thanks again for tuning in, and until next time,
continue to choose the matrix of love and align yourself to the frequency of the new earth. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.